You wake up when your body is ready. No alarm. No glowing screen waiting beside your face. The last thing you remember is the sound of quiet voices fading into darkness around a fire. And for most of human history, that was not a fantasy. It was an ordinary night. Today, millions of people struggle to fall asleep. Many wake up tired. Many lie in bed while their minds refuse to slow down. Why? Part of the answer may begin tens of thousands of years ago. Before electric light, before cities, before clocks, your ancestors followed a nighttime ritual that shaped the human brain for generation after generation. It was not a formal routine. Nobody downloaded an app to track it. Nobody optimized it for productivity. Yet it may have been one of the most psychologically important activities in human history. What happened before sleep for ancient humans? And why does your brain still seem to miss it? For roughly 300,000 years, humans lived as hunter-gatherers. Their days were physically demanding, but their nights were surprisingly social. When darkness arrived, work did not immediately stop. Instead, a different kind of activity began. Anthropologist Polly Wiessner documented this pattern among the Jew/Hoansi people of southern Africa. During daylight hours, conversations focused mostly on practical matters such as food, tools, and daily responsibilities. But after sunset, something changed. Stories appeared. Songs appeared. Long conversations emerged. People talked about relationships, shared memories, discussed distant places, explained traditions, and imagined possibilities. The darkness transformed the social world. This pattern shows up again and again across cultures. Why would that matter? Because the human brain evolved inside those evenings. Your ancestors rarely spent the final hour before sleep alone staring at isolated sources of information. Instead, they experienced social connection. They shared attention with other people. They synchronized emotionally with a group. Around a fire, everyone looked toward the same source of light. Everyone listened to the same story. Everyone occupied the same moment. That may sound simple, but it is a powerful condition. For the human mind, researchers studying social bonding often describe how shared experiences help regulate emotions and strengthen relationships. Human beings are intensely social animals. Your ancestors survived through cooperation, not isolation. Nighttime gatherings reinforced that cooperation. Every evening served as a reminder that nobody faced the wilderness alone. Imagine the scene. The sun disappears below the horizon. The air becomes cooler. The hunting is finished. The gathering is finished. Children sit close to parents. Older members of the group settle near the warmth. Sparks drift upward into a sky filled with stars. There is no television, no notifications, no endless stream of headlines. There are only people. Someone begins telling a story. Maybe it is about a successful hunt. Maybe it is about an ancestor. Maybe it is about an animal that behaves strangely. Maybe it is about a lesson everyone should remember. The story travels from one mind to another. The group laughs. Someone adds a detail. Another person corrects part of the memory. The conversation grows. Slowly, the day comes to an end. This was not entertainment in the modern sense. It was something larger. Stories helped transfer knowledge across generations. Stories preserved survival information. Stories taught social rules. Stories helped people understand their place in the world. James Suzman, who has spent years studying hunter-gatherer societies, notes that storytelling and social interaction occupy a remarkably important role in communities where cooperation is essential. Information became culture. Culture became survival. But there may have been another benefit. The transition into sleep was gradual. Modern life often creates abrupt shifts. One moment you are reading emails. The next moment you are expected to sleep. One moment you are consuming emotionally charged content. The next moment you hope your brain will suddenly become calm. Ancient evenings look very different. Firelight is dim compared to modern lighting. Conversations unfold naturally. Attention moves more slowly. The pace of information remains limited by human speech. Everything about the environment encourages a gradual descent toward rest. Could that have influenced sleep itself? Evidence suggests it might. Research led by Jerome Siegel examined sleep among several hunter-gatherer groups, including communities in Tanzania, Namibia, and Bolivia. The findings challenged common assumptions about prehistoric sleep. These populations did not necessarily sleep dramatically longer than people in industrial societies, but their sleep patterns were closely aligned with natural environmental cues such as temperature and darkness. The process of preparing for sleep unfolded within a different sensory world. No bright screens, no midnight work sessions, no artificial daylight flooding the room. Instead, there was a slow transition. Your brain evolved within those transitions. And that matters. The human nervous system constantly responds to environmental signals. Bright light signals one thing. Darkness signals another. Social safety signals one thing. Threat signals another. For much of human history, evening social connection may have functioned as a powerful signal of safety. Think about it. If you were surrounded by trusted members of your group, sharing food and stories around a fire, your brain receives evidence that immediate danger is low. The community remains intact. The group remains connected. Resources have been gathered. The night can begin. That feeling of safety is not trivial. Sleep requires vulnerability. You cannot remain fully alert and deeply asleep at the same time. Some part of the brain must accept that rest is possible. For your ancestors, the tribe helped create that confidence. Today, many people attempt to fall asleep after hours of isolation, stress, and fragmented attention. The body lies down, but the mind remains on guard. The ancient sequence has been disrupted. There is another fascinating detail. The control of fire may have changed human evenings forever. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham has argued that cooking and fire dramatically altered human evolution. Fire extended the usable hours of the day. It created protected social spaces after sunset. It gathered people together in one location. Suddenly, darkness no longer forced immediate inactivity. Humans could remain awake. Humans could communicate. Humans could build relationships. The fire became more than a tool. It became a social technology. Some researchers even suggest that many uniquely human traits flourished in these evening gatherings. Language became richer. Stories became more complex. Social bonds became stronger. Night after night, generation after generation, around countless fires, the human mind developed. Now compare that environment with a typical modern evening. You finish work. You check messages. You switch platforms. You watch videos. You read comments. You answer notifications. You absorb information from dozens of people without speaking directly to any of them. The brain remains active. Attention jumps constantly. The evening becomes crowded with stimulation. Yet many people still report a strange feeling. Something feels missing. What is it? Perhaps not the fire itself. Perhaps not prehistoric life. Perhaps the missing piece is the experience that surrounded the fire. Shared attention. Shared stories. Shared presence. The sense of belonging to a small group. The feeling that the day has a meaningful ending. Human psychology often responds strongly to rituals. A ritual does not require religion. It simply creates a predictable transition from one state to another. Ancient evenings contained natural rituals. The fire was lit. Food was shared. Stories were told. People gathered. The day concluded. Modern evenings often lack a clear boundary. Work leaks into home life. Entertainment blends into communication. Information never stops arriving. The day never truly ends. And the brain notices. Archaeological sites provide glimpses of how deeply social our ancestors were. Places such as Blombos Cave in South Africa reveal symbolic behavior stretching back tens of thousands of years. Chauvet Cave in France contains extraordinary artwork created by people who invested time and effort in a shared cultural expression. These discoveries reveal something important. Humans were not merely surviving. Humans were creating meaning, even in harsh environments, even during uncertain times, even when life was difficult. The evening hours offered space for reflection, imagination, and connection. Your brain still carries that legacy. The desire to talk with friends late into the night. The comfort of sitting around a campfire. The satisfaction of hearing a meaningful story. The feeling of calm after a genuine conversation. These experiences are not random preferences. They may reflect ancient patterns written deeply into human behavior. This does not mean you should abandon modern life and move into the wilderness. It does not mean hunter-gatherers discovered a perfect formula. Life in prehistoric environments was often dangerous and demanding. But it does suggest that certain ancient experiences continue to resonate because the human brain was shaped by them for an incredibly long time. The counterintuitive lesson is that what your ancestors did before sleep was not primarily about sleep. It was about connection. Sleep may simply have been the consequence. The fire gathered people together. The stories synchronized minds. The conversations created belonging. And belonging created the conditions for rest. Perhaps that is why a deep conversation often leaves you calmer than another hour of scrolling. Perhaps that is why sitting beside friends under a night sky can feel strangely restorative. Perhaps that is why stories remain so powerful. They are ancient tools designed for ancient minds that still exist inside modern bodies. The next time evening arrives, pay attention. Notice what fills the final hour before sleep. Notice what your brain receives. More alerts? More information? Or something closer to what humans experienced for thousands of generations? A conversation. A story. A shared moment. You do not need a prehistoric campfire to recreate part of the experience. You only need the elements that mattered most. Connection, attention, presence. The human brain has changed remarkably little compared with the world surrounding it. The modern environment is new. Your nervous system is ancient. And somewhere beneath the schedules, screens, deadlines, and distractions, it may still be searching for the same thing your ancestors found at the end of the day. A circle of familiar faces. A story drifting through the darkness. A feeling of safety. And a quiet path into sleep. You wake up when your body is ready. For your ancestors, that feeling began the night before.